Hello, welcome back to another video on astrology. In this video, we are back in conversation with Dr. Y.V. Subbarao. And as you all know, this is series 3 and part 6. And the topic for the video is conjunctive reading of houses. If this term sounds very intimidating, please kindly hold on. Dr. Y.V.S. Rao is here to clarify all your doubts. Over to Dr. Y.V. Subbarao. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So today's topic is conjunctive reading of houses. It has been proved sufficiently enough that astrology is a science, not simply a science, but is an embodiment of all the modern sciences. If astrology is a science, then prediction is an art. In this art, the first point is actually about the conjunctive reading of houses. This conjunctive reading of houses is, excepting the sun and the moon, which have only a single house lordship, all the other planets have 2 houses each. Therefore, the 2 houses will have to be read together conjunctively and not disjunctively. For example, for Aries Lagna, if Mercury is the lord of the 3rd and the 6th houses, and it has got the dasha is about 17 years, it is not that for the half of the period of 17 years, about 8.5 years, all feeding of the 3rd house, and then again all disease of the 6th house for another 8.5 years. It should be read that the significations of one house modify and qualify with the significations of the other house. Thereby, we get a meaningful statement suitable for life, for human life. So we will have the significations independently for each house, but they have to be blended together in order to bring out a human story. That's how the Nadi Granthas also are brought out. Therefore, the houses should be read together and not as conjunctively and not disjunctively. So when we take up these houses, we have to read the significations of these houses, that the significations of one house modify and qualify with the significations of the other house, thereby giving us a meaningful statement suitable to the life of a human being. So for example, in the 3rd house, if Aries has the Lagna, the 3rd house and the 6th house belong to Mercury. We know the 3rd house signifies several things, like the food and drink, siblings, and dareness, adventure. So these and siblings is mostly all these things. And even the death of the father also is indicated in the 3rd house. You may ask me why and how. I will let you know instantly when we shift to the PowerPoint program. The 6th house signifies maternal uncle, disease, quarrel, and so on and so forth. So we take, for instance, we find the enemies of the 6th house from amongst the siblings. We have been seeing some family quarrels on account of distribution of wealth and all that. So you may find your own enemies of the 6th house amongst the 3rd house. So you may find that the 3rd house, food and drink, you have to depend on the maternal uncle of the 6th house. So the signification of the 3rd house as signifying the death of father is only the next to solace immediately when the child loses the father at his very birth or something. Only the maternal uncle is the solace. So for your food and drink, you have to be at the mercy of your maternal uncle of the 6th house. So these are all the things that normally we come across in our lives, that when a newly married girl loses her, and immediately on delivery of the child or something, or 1 year, 2 years child, the father is lost. Naturally, the maternal uncle will have to come to their rescue to take care of the mother and the child. So one may have to be at the mercy of the maternal uncle for his food and drink and for his livelihood. This is how it goes, that we blend these things together. So it may be that the third house signifying adventures and the sixth house is mishaps. If you dare anything, a big feat or anything, naturally you may sustain a great fracture or some such thing in that direction. So these are all the things that normally happens. One ventures with the third house, and the sixth house will naturally give the result of falling, meeting with an accident, and being bedridden in the hospital, and he may be on diet. Or one may be sick because of the sixth house, and he may be on diet of the third house. So this is how the significations of one house modify and qualify with the significations of the other house, thereby drawing a meaningful sentences out of it which are pertaining to the human life. So this is called conjunctive reading. They should be read together and not disjunctively. It is not as if that the third house is operated for 8.5 years and sixth house is for another 8.5 years. Rather, it is a combination of 17 years of Buddha-dasha that normally wields over both the third and the sixth house signification put together. So this is how it goes. And again, while taking up the presentation, I would like to draw your attention to another aspect of it. I am taking two lagnas as a pair. Aries and the diametrical opposite in the 7th house Libra together. The reason is that the house significations from both these lagnas will be almost similar. From Aries, Venus is the lord of the 2nd and 7th houses. From Libra, Mars is the lord of the 2nd and 7th houses. So except that the planets are different, the 2nd and 7th houses are the same. So a conjunctive reading may be all right. But there's a marked difference that the signification of the planet and the karakatva of the planet will also go into that prediction very much. That should not be lost sight of. Therefore, it is how I am taking up two lagnas, and in this session, I will be dealing only 3 pairs.
Okay.
So that we can have sufficient time to discuss each thing. Next time also the remaining 3. That means 6 lagnas today as 3 pairs, and in next session another 3 lagnas as 6 pairs, 3 pairs as 6 lagnas. So to start with, I am leaving at this point and to share with you the PowerPoint presentation. The topic of the series is conjunctive reading of houses. Here I have put in the Rasi chart on the left side and the Navamsa chart on the right side. Here I have put in Lagna is 3 degrees in the Aries and Chandra also in the same Aries 2 degrees. That means Lagna Navamsa will be only in Aries and Chandra Navamsa also will be in Aries. The reason being that this is in the first pada itself, first 1/9, and therefore in Navamsa they are both here. Supposing the value of these things, the longitude of these two Lagna and the Chandra are different, they may be in different places. So there will be one Lagna and one Chandra Lagna, that is Rasi in the Rasi chart. And you will have correspondingly the Lagna Navamsa and Chandra Navamsa are different. Therefore, there may be 4 reckoning points. Here in this case, I have taken all these things together in 3 degrees and 2 degrees for Chandra and 3 for Lagna. Therefore, you are getting this. All these 4 reckoning points have become merged into one. They become 2 or they become 3 or they become 4 depending on the longitude of these planets and the Lagna. So when we are considering the actual, people ask, what is the magnitude of the good or bad that I'm going to weigh, to have it. Can you weigh it? So approximate percentage of weightage of house significations from respective reckoning points will be from Lagna straight away is 50%. And from Lagna Navamsha, a derivation, Lagna itself is actually determined based on the position of the sun. And Lagna Navamsha is a correspondence of the Lagna. Therefore, these two are of great importance. Chandra and Chandra Navamsha are the two things that are actually the reflected light of the sun, and therefore they carry less weight. So Lagna carries 50% and Lagna Navamsha gets 25%, half of it. And Chandra Lagna gets 15% and Chandra Navamsha gets 10%. So when we take up the division chart, only up to Navamsha chart to be well within the error of our birth time recording and all that, we restrict ourselves to Navamsha chart. Even then, we should not lay weight on the Lagna Navamsha because it requires to be verified when it is on the edge of this house, this side, or on threshold on this side or on that side. The likelihood of passing to the previous one or to the one ahead is always there. So unless we confirm the Lagna Navamsha, we don't give much weight on that. So this is the preliminary introduction to understand the conjunctive readings. Here also, I have taken, as I told you already, I have taken Lagna Aries as the Lagna. And the third house Lagna belongs to Lordship is Mercury. And similarly, Mercury wants Lords the sixth house also. So what are all the significations of the third house? I have mentioned here: food and drink, death of father, younger sibling, adventure, longevity. In a way, in addition to the eighth house longevity, because food and drink decides longevity. The death of father also a shock reduces the longevity. So these are all the things that go into it in the third house significations. Similarly, the sixth house significations, we have a look at it. Maternal uncle, quarrels, enemies, mishaps, and then sickness. So these two houses belong to the same Lord. They have to be read together. Therefore, you can draw so many things. On the death of father of the third house, he may have to be at the mercy of the maternal uncle for his food and drink. Because of property division or some such thing, there may be quarrels amongst the siblings. And the siblings may become enemies on account of that. Because the third house signifies adventure and the sixth house signifies mishaps. So adventures, any adventure that is taken will be a mishap. So a person falling sick will naturally be on diet. His food and drink is curtailed. So this is how the signification third house are modified and qualify with the signification of sixth house and bring out meaningful statements suitable for life. I have taken here Aries and Libra, the two Lagnas, as a pair. So this is the Rasi chart of the Aries as the Lagna, and this is the Rasi chart of the Libra, the Lagna. So I'm going to deal both these Lagnas simultaneously because the significations are the same. As the house significations are the same, houses numbers are the same. Here, Aries is the first house. It owns the eighth house also. First house and eighth house combined together. Here I have to draw your attention to the fact that Lagna is always the first house, and when the corresponding conjunctive house is the sixth house or the eighth house or the 12th house, these three evil houses, when joined with the first house, they are not that much evil. but still they will have an effect on the person. When 1 and 8 are combined, it's a lack of help to the person from any direction. He feels isolated and he will have to work hard in order to carry on his hard work. Here in this case, Libra is this 1 and 8 Shukra. The same thing happens. So 1 is combined with 8. In both the cases, we find the person, the native, may be lacking in help from outside. And the next one is 2nd and the 7th houses are owned by Venus here, and they are owned by Mars here. 2nd and 7th houses, 2 Maraka houses, no doubt. But to start with, Maraka is not the only criterion. Maraka comes to a person, a native, only after having lived his span of life successfully, and not immediately on being born. But therefore, 2 and 7 combined together will naturally say sex, love, and wealth. Family also. So in the case of Mars, it is Venus 2nd, and in case of Aries is the Lagna, 2nd and the 7th houses signify are owned by the lordship is Venus. So Venus has got the lordship of 2nd and 7th houses. The import of the signification of Venus as the Karakatva, the Kalatra Karaka is also there. Therefore, it is pointing towards sex, love, and finance and family. The same thing when projected here with reference to Libra is the Lagna. The 2nd and the 7th houses, Maraka houses, here we find the signification of Mars are arson, assassination, blood, murder, devastation, so on and so forth. Therefore, Maraka is very much there in the 2nd and 7th houses when the signification of the Karakatva of the planet also is imported into it. So the 2nd and 7th houses, though the numbers are the same, that Mars owns here with reference to Libra is the Lagna, and 2nd and 7th houses here for Venus with reference to Aries, there is a marked difference. Therefore, and further, Mars is an indicator of marital tie. 2nd and 7th houses put together instead of a marital tie, because of the significations of the house also, it may bring in Maraka, that is even Kuja dosha is also included in that. Therefore, 2nd and 7th houses owned by Mars for Libra Lagna and that of Venus for Aries Lagna are two distinct things. But we should not jump to these conclusions immediately. And now proceeding to the 4th house, the 3rd and 6th house I have already explained. Here the 3rd and the 6th house, let us see. Here the 6th house signifies uncle. And here it is maternal uncle who have put it. But here it is general. So Buddha signifies uncle or next to friend also. Therefore, Buddha has got in his signification the uncle's characteristic very much reinforced. Whereas in the 6th house here, Jupiter is different from Mercury. So the 3rd and the 6th houses here for Libra is different for the reason the 3rd house signifies food and drink and the 6th house signifies sickness. Libra, the Jupiter as such signifies liver, stomachache, so on and so forth. So the liver disease may constantly be there and Jupiter endorses it, and so the person may be suffering from liver disease, liver complaint, and he may be on diet for throughout his life. 3rd and 6th house. And 6th house, Jupiter being a beneficial planet, he always signifies auspicious things. So the expenditure will be more on that in that direction because of the 3rd house. He may be spending lavishly on the 3rd house, feeding many people and all that on very many auspicious occasions, and thereby loses much of his wealth. Because Jupiter also signifies wealth. This is how these two houses have to be blended. And here it is Mercury, mostly the sisters will be enemies for the reason Mercury is more or less a feminine planet, if not an important planet. Whereas here it is a masculine planet, and so the siblings, amongst the siblings, brothers will be enemies. So the masculinity of Jupiter also comes into play. Next to the fourth house, we shall see here, Moon. Moon is always gives plenty. That's the characteristic of it. That is why he is also considered to be a planet signifying Cancer, because he gives plenty of cells being born, and the old cells do not die. The multiplication of the cells lead to cancer. In that direction, I want to say that Moon as the Lord of the fourth house gives plenty of landed property and plenty of food and fruits and all that. So plenty of landed property, both for agriculture, mostly because Chandra signifies paddy, rice and all that. And therefore, fourth house signifies gardens, flowers, fruits, everything. And he also gives you the fourth house, this fish tanks and other things for rearing fish. Here the fourth house and the fifth house are combined. Whereas here the Moon is a single planet owning the fourth house alone. And therefore the fourth house is signifying exclusively that. Here it is fourth and fifth combined. It's a Raja Yoga planet by itself, because the quadrant and the trine are combined. And therefore the significations of the quadrant's influence on the fifth house and the fifth house influence on the fourth house will be very much, and therefore the significations of the fourth and the fifth houses will be enriched to a maximum extent. So Saturn is the best planet and the friend of the Lagna, Shukra's friend, and therefore it will give very good results. Fourth and fifth house, it is a combination that the mother, the landed property, and the fifth house children, everything will be perfectly all right. And the lower fourth house also signifies lower education, but here, with reference to the lower education, Chandra signifies mind. Chandrama manaso jataha. So a person will have an excellent intelligence in the lower education, while pursuing lower education in respect of Aries. Whereas in respect of Libra, fourth house is owned by Saturn. Saturn is also otherwise known as Manda in Sanskrit. Manda means slow. He is a little bit slow. He cannot understand it immediately. Therefore, because Shani is also called Manda, there is some dullard. He is a little bit backward in intelligence. So the fourth house lower education, he will be to some extent dulled, a dullard. Whereas in the case of Aries, the fourth house signifies the sharpness of mind, intelligence. And the fifth house is combined here, fourth and fifth. But fifth house is independent here for Ravi. Unless this fourth house Chandra as such, he cannot give maximum results for the reason he wants only the quadrant. We get Raja Yoga for a planet only when it has a quadrant has a trine also with it. So here the quadrant and trine are two separate lordships. Therefore, Ravi should try to meet Chandra in conjunction, or Chandra should meet Ravi in conjunction. This is possible only on Amavasya. So this is one born on a full moon will have the benefit of Aries as the Lagna, and Ravi and Chandra will be in conjunction on a full moon day. They will have the benefit of fourth and fifth Raja Yoga houses. And that is an excellent combination as compared to fourth and fifth of Libra. So this fourth and fifth of Libra is again another thing, Saturn. he gives a maximum benefit in terms of business also pertaining to hardware, paints, hardware mostly, and here it will be paints, and it is hardware or some oil, similar such things, or black stuff like umbrellas and all that. So Bata and Company or Karim Boys, umbrellas, or Arabian oil, like that, 4 and 5, landed property, petroleum areas and all that may accrue like that. So we have covered 2 and 7, 3 and 6, 4 and 5 here. Similarly here, 3 and 6, all this. So now we shall move to 1 and 8 also I have already covered, and 9 and 12. 9 and 12, 9th is the excellent, powerful trine, and 12th house is a loss. Vayam. Therefore, it is a loss. So in the respect of the 9th house and the 12th houses combined together, there may be a break in religion. That means some sort of disbelief at one time or the other when he meets with failure. There may be a relationship break with the paternal relationship breaking, 9 and 12 with father. There may be a break in religion. There may be a break in higher education. Many people, there is a misnomer or a notion that the 4th house signifies education totally. 4th house signifies lower education up to falling short of college standards, university standards, and 9th house signifies education beyond the college intermediate level. But a 9th house can include 4th house, but a 4th house will never include 9th house. So a higher education will never come up in the 4th house significations, but 4th house significations pertaining to education will be there in 9th house. Therefore, 9 and 12, there may be a break in higher education. There may be a break in religion. There may be a break in the paternal relationship. And the relationship break is 12th house. There is no question of temporary break. It may be a permanent break. Or at least permanent during the bhukti. If not, it is a dasha. And next one, 9 and 12. Higher education, it is education, there is a break. It is for paternal relations, there is a break. If it is religion, there is a break. Therefore, 9 and 12 combination is a ghastly one unless the 9th and the 12th planet together, that Mercury here, it is Mercury. Mercury is excellent. When he is here in the 12th house, because of his exaltation, what happens is the 9th house, loss of 9th house is protected here because of exaltation, and he may be feeling maximum troubles in order to get that higher educational qualification. Therefore, 9 and 12 can be saved by Mercury being in the 12th house exaltation position, or he can be here in the 9th house giving bias. That means skipping out the 12th house. Though 9th and 12th prevail when it is functioning, the 12th house is temporarily ignored by that planet itself because it has taken the option to be either in this house or in this house. It cannot occupy both the houses. Therefore, it chooses to be in the 9th house. Its casting vote is only for the 9th house significations at the expense in preference to 12th house loss. Therefore, there will be some mediocre arrangement there, a compromise. So it is a question of placement of the planet either in the 9th or in the 12th. If it is in the 9th, the success is ensured because of the 9th, but after great turmoil. If it is in the 12th, despite all the effort, failure is imminent and permanent. Here in the 9th and the 12th house, it is Jupiter. Jupiter signifies preceptor or father. That is there. So the signification of the planet is very much there. The paternal relationship means it is going to deal doubly because Jupiter is father. So if the paternal relationship break means it is definitely a quarrel with the father and break permanently. If it is the field of higher education signified by Jupiter, because universities and all those things are signified by Jupiter, Jupiter in the 12th house will naturally deal a blow. Similarly, in the case of religion, if his 9th house signifies religion and Jupiter more so of it, and if he is placed in the 12th house, it is a permanent loss. So there is a marked difference of owning the 9th and the 12th by Jupiter as against 9th and 12th by here and 9th and 12th. Here this is Buddhi, this is Jnana. Therefore, if one has to be a little bit intelligent, it should be in the 9th house. If one should be wise, it should be in the 9th house here. Jupiter should be in the 9th house here. So 9th and 12th will go in that fashion. Just as 4th and 5th are actually considered as a Raja Yoga planet for this Libra and a friend of the Lagna also, here we find Saturn is not a friend of Mars, the Lagna. But 10 and 11 are included here. 10 is a very powerful quadrant, but 11th is somewhat bargaining. So a Raja Yoga planet of that proportion, or a planet of that proportion to give Raja Yoga, the 10th house, a powerful quadrant, cannot be in compromise or bargaining terms. But 10th is a profession and 11th is income. Therefore, the benefit of 10,000 of Saturn will only enable him to get a better salary, but not independently as a speculative elasticity flow of money. Like a one practicing just 1 hour will fetch an argument in the court, will fetch him for lakhs of rupees. Not like that. He will have to be content with a salaried amount. So 10 and 11 go like that. So 9th is immediately behind. 9th is education, 10th is profession, 11th is income. And if Jupiter were to meet them, naturally education, he will be having a professional education. We find this combination going well with chartered accountants with Mars as the main, as the Lagna. Most of the people are chartered accountants with Mars as the Lagna for the simple reason 9th house signifies education pertaining in that direction. It is a professional qualification when Jupiter joins Saturn. And Saturn, here 10th house profession, 9th house is education in that direction and wealth. 11th house is also income and 12th house is profit and loss. 11th and 12th profit and loss. So he deals with an education, a profession and income with profit and loss. This 9, 10, 11, 12 together with the stroke of Jupiter and Saturn conjunction for Aries will naturally decide that. And when he is actually entering into Jupiter Dasha at an appropriate time of 25 years or so, then immediately follows for another 19 years, 16 plus 19, 35 years, he will have an active practice from 25 to 35, 60 years old. He becomes a chartered accountant minting money in that direction. 9, 10 and 11. And just as the profession also, these things signify profit, loss and income. This is how it goes. So Aries and Libra are covered. This is how we normally read the houses conjunctively in this way. Next one, I am moving to Taurus and Scorpio. Taurus here. In the previous one, I said it is 1 and 8. Here we find it is 1 and 6 in both the cases. Here it is Taurus Lagna. It is Venus, that is 1 and 6. And here for Scorpio, it is Mars 1 and 6. 1 and 6 is naturally, the individual is said to be the architect of his own fate. If he is successful, he is called self-made. If he is a failure, it is called it is his own making. So 1 and 6, the person is always the architect of his own fate. His or her own fate. If he is successful, he is a self-made man. If he is a failure, he is the architect of his own misfortunes. This is how one is branded, with Taurus as the Lagna or Scorpio as the Lagna. 1 and 6. So when 6 is owned by 1, or 1 owns the 6th, the evil of the 6th house is not very much, because 1 is both a quadrant and also a trine, and therefore a Lagna is always a Raja Yoga planet. So to that extent, so other things point to the same. We cannot say that the individual is as successful as a self-made man or a failure because of mishap. Here in this, Shukra, we know he is for fine arts and all that. And here, the 2nd house and the 5th house are owned by Mercury. 2nd and the 5th houses. 2nd house is a house of Maraka, and 5th house is a house of fortune, windfall. But Maraka completely evaporates the moment it combines with the 5th house, because 2nd house wealth only comes into play combined with 5th house, because it has a meaning. The 2nd house death fails into insignificance. 2nd and 7 can go as into Maraka, but not 2nd and 5th. 2nd is family, 5th is children. 2nd is wealth, 5th is windfall. And therefore 2 and 5 can go together to make an excellent thing. For people born with Taurus as the Lagna, they can count on Mercury for their financial prospects. Whenever Mercury comes in the form of a prana, or sukshma, or antara, or bhukti, or dasha, he will be most fortunate. And the 3rd house signifies, 3rd house Lord is, here in this, the 2nd and the 5th house are owned by Jupiter, still more powerful. Friend of the Mars, Lagna, and 2 and 5, Jupiter himself is a signifying planet, the 5th house, the wealth, and therefore 2nd and 5th house combination is for a greater quantum of wealth compared to a Taurus as Lagna, in which Mercury owns 2 and 5. So Mercury owning 2 and 5 for Taurus Lagna is is inferior compared to Jupiter of 2 and 5 for Scorpio as the Lagna, because Jupiter signifies wealth. So 2 and 5 is an excellent. And Jupiter also signifies judiciary. A person may become a private practitioner as an advocate, lawyer at the Supreme Court or High Court, and may earn huge amount of money on account of that. Here the 3rd house we have already discussed. The 3rd house is signified by moon. Moon signifying the 3rd house signifies something alarming. The reason is 3rd house is siblings, and Chandra is a feminine planet. So he will be blessed with more sisters rather than brothers. And another thing is, he signifies food and drink purely of juicy type. That is, it tells upon the health of the person. So one cannot live purely on juices and liquids and all that, and pre-boiled food and all that. So that it signifies something strange. So one has to be a little bit cautious in actually blending this planet with the 6th house and other things. So if Shukra were to join with the 3rd house, Shukra and Chandra, normally this gives excellent personality, Shukra and Chandra together. Many of the female artists in the cine field have that fair complexion, most beautiful, and at the same time, their self-imposed diet, they won't take much of any food that will hinder their personality. So they won't take anything that will actually make them unfit for film industry. Therefore, they restrict themselves. So Lagnadipati with the 3rd house they will have a self-restriction. And here in the third house and fourth house here, it is a strange thing. Third and fourth combined together in one and the same planet, Saturn. The third house signifies food and drink. The fourth house signifies land, mostly. Therefore, the two things blended together in my own experience, they give the result, the combined result, as kitchen garden. So the house is attached with a vast vacant land, and which is used for horticulture and vegetable growing, all these things, and therefore 3 and 4 is a kitchen garden. Here is 3 and 4. We find this is independent and this is independent, the fourth house. And even if these two things are combined, even on a full moon day, new moon day, there is actually not going to be of any benefit. So fourth house, Ravi will have to be, he is also an independent and may not be very much promising, but he has got the capacity to be in conjunction with any planet owning a trine, 5, 9 or 5 or 9. So the only possibility for Ravi, the lord of the fourth house, is to be in conjunction with Mercury, 5, fifth lord. So astronomically, this is very possible. The reason is that Ravi and Buddha are found more often than not together. And therefore, fourth house Ravi and fifth house Buddha will always be there for Taurus to give the maximum benefit. Astronomically, this is possible. If Chandra were to be in conjunction with that, in Vimsotari Dasha, Ravi Dasha, Chandra Dasha and Ravi Dasha, Chandra Dasha and Shukra is also combined with that, because we find with Ravi astronomically, Buddha will be always there. And Ravi, Shukra will be astronomically one house ahead or so. So the possibility of Shukra, Ravi and Buddha combining together is very much fruitful for this Lagna. Astronomically it is possible. And the Vimsotari Dashas are also Shukra Dasha, Ravi Dasha and Buddha Dasha, and if Ketu is also to join, Buddha, Ketu, Shukra, Ravi, this and then Chandra Dasha, we find the combination going excellently well, one Dasha after the other. It is perhaps the reason that many of the film stars have got Buddha Dasha, and if Ketu is also joined, then they have the Shukra Dasha also here and Ravi Dasha, and there once they get into Buddha Dasha, Ketu Dasha and the Shukra Dasha, these 3 dashas of 40 years are over. Immediately they have the mind to get into politics. Ravi takes them to think of leaving the cine field and entering to politics. The reason being that to Ravi, Buddha is together. Shukra is almost associated with it astronomically. And if Ketu were to be there, Buddha, Ketu, Shukra, Ravi, these 4 dashas in Vimsotari Dasha system come one after the other. And the next Dasha is Chandra, that is over. And Ravi Dasha, immediately Buddha, Ketu, Shukra, they are successful in their field. And in Ravi Dasha, immediately signifying politics, the executive seat of authority, they will immediately change their mind towards politics. So majority of the cine field artists think of getting into politics at a later age, when they are about to denounce their cinema field. This is what happens. So this is astronomically possible, and also Vimsotari Dasha system enables the sequence of dashas like that. So Taurus has the Lagna with 2 and 5 with immense flow of money, and Lagnadipati also joining that. And these 4 planets together, Buddha, Ketu, Shukra, about 40 years life. So before Buddha Dasha, what is Shani Dasha? It is again 9 and 10. So they will be always, this is also being 9 and 10. Whatever profession they take, they will be having the greatest status, mega star or the superstar like that. So the status of this 10th house is also signified by the 9th house conjunction. So 9 and 10 is an excellent combination, powerful trine and a powerful quadrant. Here we find the 3 and 4 is the kitchen garden, 2 and 5 I already said, and 1 and 6 is over. 7 and 12 is definitely a Maraka signifying planet. And this is a Maraka for the Kalatra Karaka. Mostly. Because the signification, the Shukra is the Karakatva of that. Kalatra Karaka is the Karakatva of Shukra. And therefore 7 and 12 Maraka houses. For the native, the Maraka 2nd and the 7th, 12th houses, Maraka of the spouse, the wife, or the husband as the case may be. But Kalatra Karaka in the wife, naturally it is for the native who is a male. It is 7 and 12 and loss of Kalatra Karaka, the wife. Here the 7 and 12, Mars is also virulent. It is a break in marriage itself, marital tie and marital break. Mars is a marital tie. When it is in the 12th house, it is a marital break. After having lived successfully the family life, and at the appropriate time, when the wife, one has to lose his wife or something, 7 and 12 is no big thing. But if there is any dosha in that, as seen from other points, it is considered to be more disastrous, 7 and 12. So 7 and 12 here is a marital break. Marital tie and marital break means it is at the time of that. Death coming into at the time of the moment one thinks about the marriage, he is dead. We have been seeing so many things. This going to see the girl, he meets with an accident. Or the moment the muhurta is fixed, he may meet the accident. Or when the marriage is going on, there may be a fire accident in which both the parties perish. Or they are crossing the railway line, they are dashed by the train unseen, not to be seen by them at that moment because of the fate. They are actually crushed. So this marital break 7 and 12 of the Mars is very much there. It all depends on which dasha actually starts at what time is the criterion. The next one is the last one in this is Gemini and Sagittarius. These two are the corner houses, wherein we find for the corner houses no individual planet is a Raja Yoga affording planet. Unless they strain themselves to find themselves in conjunction or aspect, they don't get benefit. Here, 1 and 4 is Gemini. For 1 and 4, for Gemini as Lagna, is Mercury. The 4th house Mercury should have the 5th house combination or the 9th house combination or the 9th house combination. So, the 4th house combination with 5th house means 5 and 12. So, any combination of this 4th house with a trine, in order to give Raja Yoga, we find this 4 and 5 combined together will also bring in the 12th house, an evil house with it. While giving a benefit to the 4th house, it's also giving a drawback of 12th house ownership. When it is mixing with the 9th house, it is bringing in the 8th house evil. So in this, for these corner houses, the quadrants in trying to become Raja Yoga planets in conjunction with trines, they are strained. Because 4 and 5 can become Raja Yoga planet, but 12th is also associated. 4 can become a Raja Yoga planet with 9, but 8 is associated. Similarly for the trines, 5 with 4 or 9 with 5 with 4 or 9 with 10. There is 7 and 10, it is all right, but 8 is always there. Therefore, the Raja Yoga affording is very difficult in this. And there is also a notion that the corner houses, there is a Kendradipatya dosham. This Kendradipatya dosham comes in for the simple reason of treating the houses individually. But when they are read together, there is no Kendradipatya dosham whatsoever. Both these Kendras, as you say, are the quadrants. Quadrants are the excellent plus houses. How can there be a Kendradipatya dosham when these two planets who own the 7th and the 10th houses for Mercury, for Jupiter, in case of Mercury as the Lagna, Gemini as the Lagna, and for Sagittarius as the Lagna, Mercury as the 7th and the 10th house lord. There is no Kendradipatya dosha at all. So read together we find that the 10th house's fame and name, one may have his spouse occupying a very high position. So one may be proud of it because of the spouse. Or the wife may be working woman, or the husband is a working person, a professional. 7 and 10. 7 is a spouse and 10 is profession. So the spouse is a combination of 7 and 10. Or one is proud of his wife, or one is proud of her husband. So 7 and 10, 10 is fame and name, and 7 is spouse. So the combination of 7 and 10 is not a Kendradipatya dosha, but because the two quadrants are there, there is not much of benefit in that unless there is a combination of the trine also in that. If 9th is also combined to some extent with the usual ups and downs of 8th house ownership also, there may be a profession going up with some fame and name and with some breaks because of 8th house, temporary breaks. So 7 and 10 combined together, 10th house signifying fame and name, and 7th house signifying spouse. So one may be proud of his spouse or wife, or one may be proud of her husband, as the case may be, and they are occupying high positions. This is how it goes. So 7 and 10 is 8 and 9 means planets owning 6th house or 8th house or 9th house other than the first house, there will be a small break in the other house. In respect of this 8 and 9 combination, there is a jolt for the 9th house because of the 8th house. There may be a break. So the gradation of break also is based on the house ownership. If it is the 6th house, it is a temporary break for some time. If it is 8th house, the break is for a longer time. If it is 12th house, it is a permanent break. So 6th house, 8th house, 12th house, the evil is gradual and also decisive at the 12th house. So therefore 8 and 9 means the break is for a longer time. That means if one is pursuing higher education, he will have a failure number of times. If it is 6 and 9, it will be only for one attempt. He will fail this time, next time he will get through. So it is a temporary thing in both the cases, but one is a short wait and a discourage, and the other one is a long one. It tests the patience of the person, 8 and 9. So higher education will naturally have a blow, or there may be a break with the paternal relations for a longer time here and for a shorter time with the 6th and the 9th in the other. So this is how the 1st and the 4th, all these planets owning either quadrants or trines will have to strain themselves to become Rajyoga planets. And along with becoming Rajyoga, they also bring some evil with them ownership. 4 and 5 combined, they bring 12 also. 4 and 9 combined, that becomes a Rajyoga planet, but brings 8th house also. So therefore, the Rajyoga is not complete in these cases. And 7 and 10, as I said, the notion of Kendradipatya dosham doesn't arise when these two houses are read together, simply because the 7th house is what is called a Maraka house and 10th house is mostly obsequious to the parents. It may go in that direction when other things also point towards that. because for the fourth house mother, the 10th house is the seventh house. And for the father, the 10th, the third house is, I already told that the third house signifies death of father because it is the seventh house for ninth house. And third house signifies food and drink also. And here fourth house, death of mother, fourth house is 10th house is the seventh house for fourth house. That is the death of mother that is performing obsequies to parents. Here it is feeding many people, the third house. There it is obsequies to parents. So these two are combined in both the things. It should be understood. This how the lagnas should be blended together, the houses should be blended together and then read conjunctively, and suitable sentences should be drawn. And when naturally we confront with the dasas or bhuktis, we have to actually come out with what type of sentences suitable to our life for the present juncture. That would naturally result. Because the best astrologer is the native himself. He knows the environment. He knows the situation. He knows, he wants to know the future, what happens to a particular issue. The problem is on hand. Immediately you can look at it and the whole thing will be very clear and precise. So this is the end of this 3 pairs of lagnas conjunctive reading, and this is to be continued in next session for the other 3 pairs.
This has been an extraordinary session. And I mean, more than the regular thanking that I always do, I think I'm stunned with the kind of effort you have put in. It's not just about you know, the PowerPoint presentation. It is more about the way you could relate all these, you know, mixing up of the various houses in a particular way. You have blended it very well, and you have tried to connect the key words somehow, right? So that's a great talent, and you've been you're not reading from a paper, and it's all coming from your mind and extempore, right? So we are extremely happy, sir, with whatever you have said. I'm sure viewers will be having lots of doubts. I mean, as they ask questions, I'm sure you will allocate a separate episode for just answering the questions. So
okay.
Before concluding, sir, based upon this, do you feel that one particular lagna has a great advantage over all other lagnas in terms of the conjunctive reading?
In a sense, the whole world as it stands today has got about 7 billion population.
Okay.
Half of them are lucky enough directly because of their lagna, because only half a dozen lagnas are only naturally Raja Yoga planet affording lagnas.
Okay.
And the remaining half are strained. Therefore, it is probability is 50% of the people are not that lucky enough as to have their horoscopes with the Raja Yoga ready-made, and
Okay.
others have to strain. And in straining that, they are also inviting some evil houses with the train also.
Okay.
For the quadrants.
Okay. Fine, sir.
So that's how.
Okay, sir. So we will continue again next week. Same time we will do the next the concluding part of this. But once again, I'd like to thank you for the extraordinary patience you have in going through, one by one meticulously. It's really, it's like a marathon, right, for you. It's almost over an hour we've been talking. So on behalf of all the
great compliment.
Yeah, on behalf of all the viewers, I'd like to thank you once again. And to the viewers, please do join us back next week, same time. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We have come to the end of this video. In case you have any doubts, please type them out in the comment section, and whenever I find the time, I'll answer them for you. And see you soon in my next video.